What's going on, guys? It's Greg from East Coast Eyes, and welcome to ECD Tips and Tricks episode 3. Today we're going to be talking about stripped screw holes. So second to head rattle, my biggest pet peeve is stripped screw holes. You guys have seen, obviously, heads get connected to shafts using a screw. Different companies put their screw holes all kinds of different places up and down the head, which makes it a little bit tough for you guys. And as you're playing, as you're checking, as you go through the wear and tear of a season, or if you're a player that has to travel a lot and you're constantly taking your head off your shaft and screwing the screw in and out and taking it off constantly, or have an older shaft that's gone through a number of heads, you know that this screw hole that secures the head to the shaft can get bored out and become loose over time and stripped, so the screw is no longer biting, and that can be really frustrating. So a couple tips here. Number one, if you have a head that has 2 screw holes, you may want to make sure you use 2 screws because that's going to reduce the movement and make sure they wear less. So all of our heads have 2 screw holes. You just drill with a self-tapping right in. Number 2, you want to make sure that you have the correct screw. We sell these on our website. I see people all the time with crazy screws. You can't really find these at Home Depot. It's a very specific screw. It's perfectly sized for head and shaft attachment. It's self-tapping, which means it has these little teeth, which means with a screwdriver or a drill, you can drill a new hole without a bit. You can just screw the screw right in. These teeth will dig in and drill a new hole for you. So you need a good screw. It's important, so you can grab a couple on our website. If you don't have them, we've already got the perfect lacrosse screw for you. So another thing that we do in our shafts is now they all come with this plastic insert. So if you look, shafts are very thin, so to count the screw on just biting through that very thin wall of the shaft isn't going to hold it there for very long and very securely. So they all come with this plastic insert. It's about an inch, a little bit over long, and it gives the screw something to bite into. So the shaft will come, there's a carbon 3 here, with the insert in the top of the shaft just like that, and that way you've got all this material for the screw to bite into. If you want to take it out, it's just attached with a little hot glue. Just wiggle it loose to break the hot glue, and it'll come right out. And so you can drill both your screw holes in there. If they start to get worn out, you just take it out, flip it around so you've got a fresh side on the other side, and put it in that way, and then you can tap right through the plastic and it'll give you something for your screw to bite into again. So that'll work for a couple rounds if you take it out and flip it over, and then that's going to give your screw fresh plastic so that it'll bite again, even if the hole in the actual shaft is a little bit bigger. Another thing you can do, and it's not great cosmetically, but if you're attaching your shaft this way, you've used all your holes, they're all bored out on the one side, just take the shaft, roll it over. You're going to have backwards decals. I've seen a lot of people do this. It works with metal shafts, works with carbon fiber. Put it right back on, and you've got fresh plastic, fresh metal, or fresh carbon fiber to drill the screw into. Additionally, if you get really desperate, you can flip the shaft around entirely and use the bottom side. Again, you're going to have your decals upside down and backwards at that point. A lot of people don't care, especially if you're taping over them. The only thing I don't recommend is you do this with some, like the Carbon Pro 2 or some flex shafts, because they have flex profiles up and down the shaft that you don't really want to mess with. And finally, another home remedy is you get a wine cork. This is going to act like the insert, where you're going to take it, squeeze it into the shaft and push it all the way in. You can see they fit pretty well in shafts for the most part. You might have to compress it and fight it in there a little bit, but that, just like the plastic insert, just like the SDX piece, is going to give you something fresh for the screw to bite into, and it's going to make it lock in a little bit better. So those are a couple tips we have for fixing your bored out screw hole, especially if you guys that travel, you're constantly flying and have to take your head on and off your shaft. I'm sure it's very frustrating. So here's a couple things you can try to make sure you're not getting head rattled and make sure that screw is nice and tight. So if you have any questions on this, leave them down in the comments. We'll be sure to answer them. If you have any tips you want to leave for other fans, leave them down there as well. I'm sure people will pick them up. Like if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't, and stay tuned next week for another episode.